You might not believe me when I say this, but a few common dried fruits, the kind sitting right on the shelves at your local grocery store, are now showing surprising benefits when it comes to supporting eye health, especially at night while you sleep. We're not talking about expensive superfoods or some exotic ingredient from across the world. These are things you've probably walked past 100 times, maybe even thought of as just snacks. But what's inside them is now catching the attention of nutritionists and eye health specialists, particularly when it comes to age-related vision decline. Because the truth is, a lot of people begin to notice subtle changes in their eyesight after 60, and they don't always realize it's happening. It sneaks in slowly, headlights feel more glaring, the words on your morning paper seem harder to make out. And before you know it, these little things start changing your daily life. You stop driving at night, or put down a favorite book because your eyes feel more strained than they used to. Most of us assume that's just part of getting older. But after more than 30 years working with older adults, I've come to believe that age isn't the main reason. More often, it's the result of years of low-grade inflammation, oxidative stress, and a lack of the nutrients your eyes need to repair themselves properly. My name is Carol Simmons, and in today's video, I'm going to share with you 5 dried fruits, simple, everyday options that may offer powerful support for your eyesight. Each one brings its own unique benefit, and the last one, in my experience, is the most impactful of them all. Everything I'll share with you today is backed by science, real studies, and practical results. If this is your first time here, and you find this kind of content helpful, go ahead and like the video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss what's coming next. Let's start with dried figs. One of the first foods I often recommend to my patients is dried figs. Most people think of them as a sweet little snack. But in reality, figs are a great natural source of vitamin A, an essential nutrient for keeping the retina and surface of the eyes healthy, especially as we age. A lack of vitamin A is one of the most common causes of night blindness in older adults, and fortunately, it's also one of the easiest to improve through diet. Figs also contain antioxidants like quercetin and rutin, which help protect the light-sensitive cells in your eyes from long-term damage. A review published in the Journal of Food Science and Technology even showed that these compounds may support better blood flow to the back of the eyes, something that's especially important for night vision. And here's a helpful tip. The natural sugars in figs can actually improve the absorption of fat-soluble antioxidants, especially when you eat them with a small amount of healthy fat, like a few almonds or walnuts. That's why I often tell people, have 2 or 3 dried figs in the evening, about an hour before bed, and pair them with a few nuts. It's simple, but over time, it can make a real difference. I remember a patient of mine, Linda Patterson, 70 years old, living on her own in New Jersey. During one visit, she said, "I've stopped going for evening walks. The streetlights hurt my eyes and I can't really make out people's faces anymore. Everything just feels a little hazy." I suggested she try adding dried figs and some walnuts to her evening routine. Nothing extreme, just a gentle habit. 6 weeks later, she came back and said, "It's not just that I see better. I feel more confident going outside again. I've started walking after dinner." It wasn't a miracle. It was just giving her eyes what they needed at the right time. Next up, dried dates. These soft, naturally sweet fruits have been cherished in Middle Eastern and North African cultures for centuries. Often called nature's candy, they're delicious, but their real value goes far beyond flavor. Dates are a natural source of vitamin B6, which plays a critical role in producing neurotransmitters that help your optic nerve communicate effectively with the brain. When B6 levels are low, these visual signals can slow down or become less accurate, something that's especially noticeable in low-light conditions. They're also rich in potassium and magnesium, 2 minerals that support the tiny muscles inside your eyes that help them shift focus. As we age, these muscles tend to weaken, making it harder to adjust quickly between near and far objects. Getting enough of these minerals helps your eyes stay more responsive and less fatigued. What really makes dates stand out is their high content of antioxidants, particularly polyphenols, lutein, and zeaxanthin. These compounds concentrate in the macula, the central part of your retina, and help filter out harmful blue light from screens and LED lighting. They also fight oxidative damage from free radicals. A study published in the Journal of Nutritional Science found that regular intake of lutein and zeaxanthin may help slow the progression of age-related macular degeneration. And unlike many dried fruits, dates still retain natural moisture, which can help with hydration, an important factor for people struggling with chronic dry eyes. One of my patients, Martha Keller, she's 68 and a retired librarian, once told me she loved reading after dinner but could only manage 10 or 15 minutes before her eyes started to sting and blur. I recommended 2 dates in the evening, paired with a few pumpkin seeds, which are high in zinc, and help vitamin A reach the retina more effectively. About 3 weeks later, she came back and said, "I finished an entire novel, over 300 pages, and my eyes felt fine the whole time." Then we have raisins. They're small, sweet, and often tucked into oatmeal or cookies. But don't let their size fool you. Raisins pack a surprising amount of nutrients that can quietly support your eye health over time. Raisins are rich in polyphenols, including quercetin, resveratrol, and catechin. These are powerful antioxidants that help neutralize free radicals in the retina, tiny troublemakers that build up from sunlight, pollution, and everyday metabolism. Left unchecked, free radicals can gradually damage photoreceptor cells, which are essential for seeing fine detail and vibrant color. Raisins also contain lutein and zeaxanthin, 2 natural pigments that act like internal sunglasses. They help filter out harmful blue light and reduce glare, which is especially helpful if you find yourself bothered by headlights at night or screen time during the day. What many people don't know is that raisins are one of the best food sources of boron, a trace mineral that helps regulate calcium and magnesium metabolism. This supports eye muscle function and nerve signaling, which in turn helps reduce eye strain, especially when shifting focus between near and far. Because raisins combine natural sugars with soluble fiber, they release energy slowly and help stabilize blood sugar throughout the night. That's important because blood sugar swings can sometimes cause temporary blurred vision, especially in older adults. One of my patients, Elena Mitchell, she's 75 and used to work as a seamstress, told me she stopped sewing in the evenings because the threads started to blur. I suggested she try a small handful of raisins with some walnuts in the late afternoon. A few weeks later, she came back and said, "I'm sewing again after dinner. My eyes don't feel as strained, and I can see the stitches clearly." For most people, just a couple of tablespoons of raisins, a few times a week, paired with some healthy fat, is a simple way to give your eyes the support they need. Don't overlook dried apricots. Their bright orange color and sweet tart flavor make them a tasty snack, but there's a lot more going on under the surface, especially when it comes to your eyes. Dried apricots are an excellent source of beta-carotene, the plant compound your body turns into vitamin A. This vitamin is crucial for producing rhodopsin, the light-sensitive protein in your retina that helps you see in low-light conditions. When your body doesn't get enough vitamin A, rhodopsin takes longer to regenerate, which makes it harder for your eyes to adjust from bright to dark environments. Over time, this can lead to night blindness. Apricots also contain lutein and zeaxanthin, 2 key carotenoids that help filter harmful blue light and protect the retina from oxidative stress. These compounds are especially important for reducing the risk of age-related macular degeneration, AMD, one of the leading causes of vision loss in older adults. But there's more. Dried apricots are rich in potassium, a mineral that helps maintain fluid balance inside eye cells, keeps the cornea clear, and supports stable intraocular pressure. This makes them a helpful addition to any routine aimed at preventing glaucoma. And for people managing blood sugar, dried apricots offer soluble fiber, which slows down digestion and helps keep blood glucose levels steady. That's good news for the tiny blood vessels in the retina, which can be damaged by frequent blood sugar swings. I remember one of my patients, Robert Williams, he's 70, who told me he hadn't driven at night in years because headlights made his eyes feel overwhelmed and tired. I suggested he try eating 2 or 3 dried apricots in the late afternoon, along with a small piece of dark chocolate to boost antioxidant absorption. 6 weeks later, he came in and said, "I'm driving at night again. My eyes adjust faster now, and the glare doesn't bother me like it used to." Sometimes, it's the smallest changes that bring the biggest difference. Here's one that often catches people off guard: dried blueberries. They're small, naturally sweet, and easy to snack on, but don't let their size fool you. These tiny berries are packed with nutrients that are especially helpful for aging eyes. The key compound in blueberries is anthocyanin, a powerful group of antioxidants that give blueberries their deep purple color. Anthocyanins are known for strengthening the small blood vessels in the retina, helping to reduce leakage, swelling, and even tiny hemorrhages. These problems, common in people with diabetes or high blood pressure, often show up as blurry patches or black spots in your vision. Studies have shown that anthocyanins can support retinal health by keeping those delicate capillaries strong and flexible. Blueberries also contain lutein and zeaxanthin, nutrients that help protect the macula, filter harmful blue light, and ease digital eye strain. But one lesser-known benefit of blueberries is their ability to help your eyes adjust to changing light. Whether you're stepping from sunlight into a dim hallway or driving at dusk, this kind of visual flexibility can make a big difference in daily comfort and safety. One of my patients, Kenji Nakamura, he's 69 and a retired photographer, told me he used to miss shots at evening events because his eyes took too long to adjust. By the time I could see clearly, the moment was already gone, he said. I suggested adding a small handful of dried blueberries to his afternoon snack. He paired it with a few almonds or stirred it into his plain yogurt. A little over a month later, he came back with a smile. I can walk into a dark room and focus almost instantly now. I haven't missed a shot since. It's not magic. It's just a small habit, repeated daily, that gave his eyes the tools they needed to keep up. Now you might be wondering, do I have to eat all these dried fruits every day? And the good news is you don't. When it comes to dried fruit and eye health, consistency matters more than quantity. A little done regularly can go a long way. What I often suggest is putting together a small evening snack. I call it a little eye-friendly treat, about an hour before bedtime. That's when your body is shifting into repair mode, and your eyes, just like the rest of you, need the right tools to heal and rebuild overnight. Here's a simple mix that works well. 2-3 dried figs, 1-2 dates, around 2 tablespoons of raisins, 3-4 dried apricots. Alongside that, add a small handful of raw, unsalted nuts or seeds like almonds, walnuts, or sunflower seeds. Why? Because nutrients like lutein, zeaxanthin, and beta-carotene are fat-soluble, and pairing them with a little healthy fat helps your body absorb them better. You don't need to eat all 4 fruits every night. Rotate them, figs and raisins one evening, dates and apricots the next. As long as each fruit shows up at least 3 to 4 times a week, your eyes will get what they need. And don't forget to drink a glass of water before bed. Dried fruit has natural sugar and fiber, so hydration helps with digestion and supports eye moisture through the night. If you spend time on screens at night, after your snack, take 10 minutes to rest your eyes, either by closing them in a dark room or placing a warm compress over your eyelids. It's a small gesture, but one that helps your eyes relax and recover. Over the years, I've seen people make small changes like this, and within just a few weeks they report clearer night vision, less dryness, and quicker light adjustment. It's simple, it's natural, and it's something you can start tonight. Some truths take time to reveal themselves. I remember years ago, when I first started recommending dried fruits as part of an eye-supporting diet, the idea raised a few eyebrows. Some colleagues thought it was just an old-fashioned notion, a gentle gesture, maybe, but not grounded in science. But over the years, and especially in the past decade, research has started to validate what many of us have seen firsthand. Small, natural changes can have a powerful impact, especially when it comes to preserving vision as we age. In my practice, I've paid close attention to what happens when my patients make simple changes. One woman added just 2 dried apricots to her evening snack, and a few weeks later, she told me her eyes felt less dry and reading felt easier. Another gentleman, who had stopped driving at dusk, started including a handful of raisins in his afternoon and noticed that headlights didn't bother him quite as much. Stories like these aren't rare in my office. They happen so often that I began asking, have we been underestimating the power of what we eat every day? Thankfully, science is asking that same question and starting to find answers. A 4-year study published in Nutrients followed over 2,000 older adults and tracked the effects of carotenoids, specifically lutein and zeaxanthin, on long-term eye health. The group who regularly consumed these nutrients from natural food sources showed nearly 40% lower rates of macular degeneration. What stood out to me was that many of these nutrients came from foods as familiar as dried fruits, apricots, raisins, blueberries. At Harvard, another study in the Archives of Ophthalmology found that increased intake of vitamin A and plant-based antioxidants helped slow age-related vision decline and reduce damage from blue light exposure, something most of us get every day from screens. And the foods they cited as beneficial: figs and dates, two of the very same dried fruits we've talked about. I think often of Linda, 76, who called me one evening just to say, "I finished 30 pages of my book tonight without rubbing my eyes once. I haven't done that in years." It was a short phone call, but it meant a great deal. Then there was Frank, 80, a retired city bus driver. He had stopped driving at night altogether because headlights would leave him disoriented. I suggested he try a few dried dates and apricots each evening with a few walnuts. 6 weeks later, at his follow-up visit, he smiled and said, "I'm not going back on the freeway, but I drove to the store at sundown and didn't feel nervous once." There was a calm pride in his voice, as if he'd reclaimed something small but deeply important. I don't share these stories to suggest that dried fruit is some kind of miracle cure, but I do believe the human body, especially the eyes, has a remarkable capacity to repair and adapt, given the right support. When we feed it nutrients from real, whole sources, and when we do so consistently, the changes might not appear overnight, but they build over time. And unlike medications, there are no warnings on the label, no fine print to fear. Vision is not just about function, it's about connection. It's about recognizing a familiar face in a crowd, reading a birthday card, noticing the shimmer on a lake at sunset. When we start to lose our sight, we lose a bit of that connection. So if there's something we can do, something as simple as changing a snack before bed, I believe it's worth doing. If there's one thing I hope you take from today's video, it's this: even small steps, taken consistently, can make a real difference. Your eyes are still listening, and when you care for them gently, they tend to respond. Our eyes are more than just a sense. They're our window to the people and places we love. They hold the quiet moments, the smile of someone dear, the color of your favorite book cover, the glow of a sunset on your back porch. When vision begins to change, it can feel like those moments start to slip away too. But I don't believe we have to accept that as just part of aging. With small, thoughtful steps, like a handful of dried fruit in the evening or simply giving your eyes a rest before bed, you can still care for your eyes, gently and naturally, and they will thank you for it. After more than 30 years working with older adults, I've learned this. The body responds when we listen to it, and so do the eyes. If you found today's video helpful, I'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below, maybe share your experience or just say hello. I truly enjoy hearing your stories. And if you feel like it, feel free to click like or subscribe. Not for the algorithm, but because I'd like to continue this journey with you, sharing simple, trustworthy tips that make aging just a little easier. Maybe tonight's the night to begin. A small change, a thoughtful snack, and let your eyes feel the difference day by day. Thanks so much for staying with me until the end. I'll see you in the next video.